Hello, my name is Kate McCabe and these are my car boot sale tips if you're buying. So if you love going to car boot sales but you're not getting the best bargains and everyone else is getting things cheaper than you, well, I'm going to give you some tips that might help you. So these are just a few things that I do at car boot sales to try and get the prices down. So they might not work for everyone, but they definitely work for me. And I've been going to car boot sales since I was about 7 or 8, and I'm now 38, so about 30 years, and I love a bargain. Car boot sales are literally my favourite thing in the world. I just love it. As I'm driving into the car boot sale, my stomach, I get butterflies. That is how ridiculously excited I get. They're just the best thing ever. So I've got some tips in my notebook here that I'm going to share with you to help you try and save some money and get the best bargains. And I'm also going to show you my mug of the day. So I always start my videos off with a mug of the day. This video isn't going to be any different. So this is a car boot sale bargain that I got for 50p, and I've got a coffee in case you were wondering. And my top is a car boot sale find as well. It's a little watermelon top from Primark, and this cost me 50p. It's just a plain t-shirt, but I thought as I was doing a car boot sale tips video, I'd use car boot sale things. So I've said hello, I've shown you my mug of the day, my car boot sale top. It's time to get my tips out. And just before I get into my car boot sale tips, I will just quickly say, two of the most important things are, right, one is to have fun. So go there, don't expect anything, and you just never know what you can find. Honestly, I found such treasure at car boot sales. Nearly every time I go, I find things. And the other very important thing is to look. I know it sounds really obvious, but you have to really look at a car boot sale. I get so many messages saying that people's car boot sales are rubbish and they never find anything. You don't always see things as you glance. You've really got to look at the stalls and see what they've got. So when you go to a car boot sale, you've got to pretend you're a pirate and you're looking for a treasure and you've got to rummage in the bags. That was my Norfolk accent. Right, that's not a top tip, that's just a bit of fun. Right, okay, so top tips. Number one seems really obvious, but is to smile. So when you go up to the stalls, just smile at the people because it does go a long way. And it makes you feel happy as well if you get a smile of someone. Even if you don't buy anything, just smile. And if I don't buy anything, I just go thank you and walk off. So I feel a bit mean sometimes I don't buy anything, but you can't buy everything. So number one is to smile. These won't work for everyone, so just take out of this what you can, what works for you. This is just what I do, and this helps me get bargains. This is a bit controversial, this number two, because you can get there whenever you want, right? So a lot of people say to me, oh, you must get there really early to get all your bargains. I never do. I haven't been to a car boot sale unless I've been selling stuff before 9 o'clock. I always get between 9 and 10 o'clock, and I found amazing bargains. So you don't have to get there early. So if you wake up and you think, oh, I've missed it now, that's it, I can't go, you can just go and have a little look. I would say after about 11 o'clock, people start packing up, but between 9 and 11, that's when I find my bargains. However, some people get there at 6 and 7 and they get amazing things as well, but it's whatever suits you. I will do an experiment. I'm going to get there early. I'm going to get there at like 7 a.m. and see if I can find better things, but you never know. But yeah, generally, most weekends and midweeks, we have them in Norfolk. I get there between 9 and 10 o'clock. That one wasn't a tip, that was just me chatting. Right, my second tip is start at the bottom. Now this varies on different car boot sales, but there's one in Norwich, okay, so it's called Arming Hall. It's brilliant, it's on a Wednesday and a Sunday. You'll get all the traders at the top. Now amongst the traders, you will get some regular sellers trying to get rid of stuff, and the regular sellers, that's where you're going to get your bargains. So the traders, you will get some good bargains, but it's mostly when people are getting rid of stuff, that's where you get the proper treasure for rock bottom prices. So yeah, I would say start at the bottom. That's where I find my best bargains. So basically my tip is to start where the last person has come in, because they'll be the people getting rid of stuff. So it depends what car boot sale, but at Norwich you start at the bottom of the hill. Julie's car boot sale in Great Yarmouth, I start at the very end of the row as well. And when you get there, when you find a parking space, if you get there a bit later, I always get the furthest one away, nearest where the last people have gone, and that way if you've got anything heavy, you can take it straight to your car. People park sort of as soon as they come in, and they've got miles to walk, but I find if you park as close as you can, nearest where the last people have come in, that's usually the best place to park. Okay, so start at the bottom. That is usually where you get all the people getting rid of stuff, so that's where you'll get your best bargains. Tip number 3 is to take your time, if there's time. If the car boot sale isn't massive, you should have time to go along each row. Now, if you're scanning from side to side, you will probably miss things. When it's massive and there's too many stalls, you do have to do a bit of a a head bob and a bit of a scan eye that, look both ways. But if there is time, I would really recommend going along one aisle, seeing everything, and then coming along the other way and doing the opposite one. So, obviously they have two, don't they? You sort of walk along. A lot of people just scan, but you can miss bargains that way. So I would, go along one and then come around. Sometimes, if there's like a plant stall, I do look that way. So you might have a sneaky look just in case you miss a bargain. But most of the time, I like to stay one row at a time, if that makes sense. Tip number 4 is, it's going to sound weird, but take some danger money. By this, I mean, take your pound coins and your loose change and maybe have like a fiver. And then I think, well, if I spend that, I've spent about £15. And then I always take another little purse and put it in a different compartment. And that's my danger money, just in case there's something I really want and it's more expensive. That's happened before, and I've had to run to the cash point, which is fine if you're in an area that has a cash point or you're near a cash point. But if you're kind of miles away from one, you're realistically not going to have enough time to go and come back. So take some danger money, because you just never know. And lately I haven't spent my danger money. That's just stayed in my purse. I know if I've gone into my danger money, then it's been a really good car boot sale. Tip number 5 is a bit weird, but it works for me. I think it's stupid. I'll tell you what it is. So I call things little. So when I look at a table and I think, I wonder how much that'll be, I'll say, how much is your little... So for example, like this candle was sitting there. This was 50p, by the way. These are my initials. I was really happy when I found them. KM. Maybe pick one up and say, how much is your little... Or point to it, actually. That's sometimes better. How much is your little... And then you don't even have to say the other thing. But by calling it little, maybe somewhere in their head they think it's not worth a lot. I think it does work. Now, this isn't science. It's just me, like, trying, basically, to get things a little bit cheaper. But I think it's something psychological in them that they think, because you're saying little, it's not worth a lot. I'm pretty sure it's worked for me. So call things little. Just try it. If you feel like a wally, stop doing it, but give it a go, because you never know. You might save yourself 50p. And I know all these amounts sound ridiculous, but when you're in car boot sale world, 50p in a pound is quite a lot of money. So I would recommend you try and call things little. That might sound really odd, but it might just work. Tip number 6 is quite similar to what I said at the beginning. Be polite and smile. An example happened the other day when I went to a car boot sale, and the lady was lovely, and I bought a candle off her, and she wanted £1, and I said, would you take 50p? And I bought another few things off her, and she said, yeah, that was fine. And then a man came along and was really quite rude, and she wouldn't let him have whatever he wanted. He wanted to buy something for 50p and it was £1, and she said no. Purely because he was being quite rude. So that's an example, as you can get money off if you're just nice and you smile. And people don't mind bartering. It can be a bit intimidating at first, but you just get into it. And some people will get offended. Let them be offended. It's up to them. But car boot sales are all about haggling, getting the prices down. And if you do it in a nice way, no one's going to be annoyed with you. People have been annoyed with me in the past, but I'm just like, you need to lighten up. You're at a car boot sale. You're selling a pair of flip-flops, doesn't matter. And when I've sold, I'm totally happy for people to barter or knock me down or buy a whole load of things and say, would you take a tenner for all of these, So yeah, don't be afraid of bartering. But this isn't my tip. What was it? It was, being polite. So yeah, be polite and smile, because that does go a long way. Tip number 7 is to listen. I know this sounds a bit strange, but when you're looking at someone's stall and there's a few other people around you, just listen to what they're saying, listen to the prices, because there's been a few times where I've gone up and thought, that looks expensive. Like they might have £3 on something, which they place values on different things. So we all have different values for different things. So I bought a Cath Kidston purse the other day, new with tags. It was 50p, and then you might see that and somebody else is selling it for £5 or £4. So everyone has different values on different things. So they might sell you something for 50p, and then they've got another thing you want for a fiver. So really listen to what they're saying, and if they're saying 50p, a pound, and they're a bit flippant, everything is going to be quite cheap. So dither a little bit if there's time. Obviously, if it's not like the biggest car boot sale ever and you've got to get around, I dither a little bit, I listen, and then when you ask for your, how much is this, normally they're going to say something quite, give it to you quite cheaply, unless they place a lot of value on it, and then in which case it'll be more expensive. Then you've got to work out if you want to buy it or not. But yeah, I would say listen, stop, look and listen, and then you'll sort of gauge how much they're selling things for. And I would just quickly say, Don't judge the seller by the car boot loot or the car boot loot by the seller. Sometimes, if I look at a girl who's really slim, you think, oh, she won't have any clothes for me, but they might have all kinds of sizes. So go up to all the stores, don't be intimidated by anyone, and just have a good old look. Sometimes they have like really small clothes and like, they won't fit me, but it doesn't matter, someone else is going to find them. So yeah, go up and have a look and listen, and don't judge the car boot loot by the owner, and vice versa. Tip number 8 is quite similar to 7. So while you're dithering, while you're looking and listening, touch things. Okay, so pick things up, have a little look. You're a bit uncertain. Even if you love it, you probably wouldn't dither. You'd be like, oh my God! But you try and contain your excitement, because then they might get a bit more money from you. But if they're just nice trying to get rid of stuff, they'll just say, oh, 50p. It doesn't matter if you're excited, because generally I'm quite excited when I find things. But yeah, if you're like, do I really need this? Dither, have a look, and then sometimes they'll say, oh, that is, if they're a good seller, they'll say, oh, that's only 50p, or they'll, say a price. Sometimes they don't, you just put it down, and that means you didn't really need it anyway. So I tend to buy quite a lot of car boot sales. So yes, if they haven't said to me, oh, that is 10p or 50p or whatever, I'll put it down and think, well, I didn't really need that. But often people will tell you a price if you sort of look at things and you don't act that keen, unless you find real treasure. They're like, oh my God. If there's time, dither a little bit and pick things up and touch things and, have visible, do I really need this? And then they might give it to you for next to nothing, in which case then you have to take it home because it's really cheap. That's why I've got loads of stuff and I've got to declutter. I am a bit of a hoarder, but I do get rid of my things as well. I just love buying things. And I buy things for other people too. They probably don't like it, but I love it. Right, so that is my tip number 8. That was dither and touch things. And then I've got number 9. Right, if it's expensive and you aren't sure, go for a walk, right? Have a think. There's nothing wrong. Sometimes you say, oh, I'll have a think about it. They then say, oh, I'll give me £1. And then, it might be a bit cheaper. But go for a walk, have a think, and then come back again. Because sometimes it's there, you might be able to get it a bit cheaper. However, if it's expensive and you go for a walk and you come back, sometimes it's gone. That has happened to me. I saw some lovely Monopoly glasses. I think they were £3 for a set of 4. I was like, do I need them? It's to do with like space, and I've got quite a lot of glasses. And anyway, I came back and thought, no, I will get them. They'll be nice when we play board games, and they'd gone. So sometimes, I don't know, you just have to weigh it up. Do you really need it? If it's expensive and you're not sure, go for a walk, and you never know if it's there when you come back. It's meant to be, and you might get it a little bit cheaper. But if there's something you really, really love, you might just lose it. So you're just a bit of a gamble really at car boot sales. But yeah, when you do go back to get it, if you love it, it might be gone. So just have a good think when you're there and hold on to it. Right, so sometimes you can pick something up and you'll be like, oh, I don't have to get this. And you put it down and someone takes it straight away. You're like, oh no, that's happened to me before when I've put it down. And also when someone else you see other people touching things, you're like, oh my God, I really want that thing that you've got in your hand. You wait for them to put it down, if they do, and then you're like, I'll get that, please. That's happened before, and then they've been like, oh no. Usually when people want things, like, it makes the other person want it more. Anyway, so yeah, I would say if it's expensive, have a little walk. However, if you really, really love it and it's not too expensive, then yeah, get it there, and then otherwise you might regret it for the rest of your life. I might have 11 tips actually, but I'll just call it 10 tips, and then because it sounds better, doesn't it, than 11. Right, so number 10 is haggle. Always haggle unless it's really cheap. So if it's already 50p is generally a good price. Like, I get a lot of mugs, tops, clothes, dresses, either £1 or 50p, and I normally just pay it. Occasionally I'll try and get something down from £1 if I'm really in a haggly mood and I think, oh, I might be able to get away with this. But if it's really cheap, don't haggle. So say if they say 50p, don't then say, would you take 40? Because it's just daft. Just pay the 50p. Don't like haggle. Well, you can if you want to, but that's not something I would do, because it feels a bit rude because it's already really cheap. And my tip number 11 kind of links it with the don't haggle unless it's cheap. But this is a way of doing that without sounding rude. So, and I've done this a lot. This has worked over the years a lot, loads of times. And I'm probably going to contradict myself on what I've just said, but you'll see why it sounds better. So if there's 3 things you like and they're 50p each, this works 9 times, I'd even say 10 times out of 10. If you pick, so there's 3 things like this. Right, there's 3 candles on this car boot sale, and they're 50p each. How much are these, please? 50p each, okay. So you're touching, you're sort of umming and ahhing. Ooh, oh, would you take £1 for all three? And if you ask in a nice way, would you take £1 for all three? They always say yes, and then you get things for 30p, but you haven't really haggled, you've kind of done a little deal. So you can do a good deal and knock money off. That generally works as well. So say if you buy loads of clothes, say if you buy six dresses and they're £1 each, would you take £5? And then they normally say yes. So you can get a bit of money off that way, but often, so many times, I have bought 3 things for £1. So don't haggle unless it already is cheap. Unless you can get 3 for £1, then just ask that, and they normally do say yes. That's one of my favourite things, actually. And then what else have I got written here? Oh, a lady haggled from 75p. She wanted a item of clothing, and it was £1. She said, would you take 75p? And the woman said yes. I should have said 50p. So don't go for 25, just go for simple amounts, 50p, £1. That's what I do anyway, but we're all different. And then my last thing I've written here is get stuck in, look in boxes. If there's time, have a good old rummage, because I have found loads of things in boxes when I've had a good old rummage. There was some clothes in a load of boxes, and I didn't have time at Norwich to look in these boxes, and then the same seller was at a different car boot sale and there wasn't much there, so I had a good old look, and it was so cheap. I got everything. It was 3 for £1. That was his price on all the clothes, and I found some lovely things. So yeah, get involved, get stuck in. Some people don't like to rummage, which is fair enough, but I just think you're at a car boot sale, like we're already there. You may as well get down and, have a look in and show your bum crack that's happened before when you're bending over in your jeans, because down in that haggly mess, well, that rummagey mess, you might find treasure. So just get stuck in. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks, we're at a car boot sale. So yeah, rummage, get involved, have a look in the boxes. Okay, and I think that's it. Oh yeah, I just wanted to say about these boxes and getting involved in rummage. I did find once one of my best buys at the end. I've been selling stuff. I used to do loads of car boot sales a couple of years ago, and I'm just kind of fed up with them. And last year I worked every Sunday, so I didn't go to any car boot sales on a Sunday, which is why I just want to go to them at the minute and not sell. But when I was selling, I went at the end, so I packed everything up and I had a little look around. And at the very end, in a box, hidden, I found 6 Cath Kidston wine glasses, all different colours, and they were beautiful. They weren't used, the box was there. And I said, well, how much are these? And she said 20p each. 20p each. And that, if I hadn't have rummaged in that box, I never would have got these most beautiful Cath Kidston wine glasses. So that was right at the end, and that was in a box. So rummage, and if you get there late, just have a little look, have a little rummage. So I think that's all my top tips for car boot sales. Just most importantly, I've written here, have fun and have no expectations. But yeah, just go and enjoy yourself, because you can find amazing things, from dresses to makeup, and you can then disinfect your makeup. I've done that as well. And yeah, loads of things I found. Dresses to wear at a wedding, dresses for your summer. I just absolutely love them. And if you want to watch any of my car boot sale hauls, I will link them below. I've honestly found so much of my houses over the years. I furnished a house, and that was when Wimbledon dog car boot sale used to be open. And I bought so much furniture from there. And when I sold the house, I think the furniture cost me a couple £100. And when I sold it, the people gave me about £1,000 extra for my furniture that I kind of furnished it with before I moved up to Norfolk. So yeah, you can get great treasure, and it's worth a lot more money. You can also resell. I don't really do that. Well, I don't do that at all, because I can't really be bothered. I keep it for me, but there's a lot of money to be made by reselling. I used to when I was younger. I haven't got the time for it. But thank you very much. I hope these tips made sense. And if there's anything, the important ones are to have fun, be polite. 3, always offer 50p things. Would you take £1 for 3? That's always a good one. That's probably my favourite one. And calling things little and being nice and taking a bag. Take a bag as well. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes they'll give you a bag. But yeah, I hope that helped. I don't know. There might be nothing that I've said that will help you, but there might be a couple of little nuggets here and there to save yourself some money. It's not a lot of money, but it all adds up, and it all matters at a car boot sale. Like a couple of quid is a lot of money. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and give it a like if you did. Write me a comment. If there's any tips that you know of as well, write them below, and then everyone can read them and we'll all learn. So if there's any tips that I've missed out, there probably is, then write them below. So, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I go to car boot sales all the time and do hauls, so make sure you subscribe. And the other thing was, I'm probably going to do a car boot sale selling video, because I've got a few things as a buyer and as a seller that I've learned that will help you sell. So I might do that as well. Let me know if you'd like that video, if you want some tips how to sell your stuff at car boot sales, just really basic things. So yes, thanks very much for watching this, and I will speak to you soon. Have fun at car boot sales. Yeah, take loads of change and danger money. Woo, bye.